What's up there, YouTube? Stampede Valkyrie coming back at you again with a little bit of an experimentation video. I've kind of demoed this before with the AeroDynic the geared 22H bars, and I was happy with the results I got from a conversion to LED bulbs. And now I'm going to play around with an XL5000 and see if I can actually demo what's happening and why I actually like these bulbs. So this is my little test. I haven't really played with it too much on the XL bars, but it works successfully on the AeroDynic. So first thing worth note is our project bar, which is what we've got in front of us. Basic Mini XL5000, 2 independent rotators, diamond mirror, and the important part right there, 1 H1 bulb, 2 H1 bulb. Pretty generic, 55 watt halogen. And what I'm going to do is we're now going to play, and this is where the fun begins. So like I said, this is the bulb that's currently in the bar, just a standard 55 watt H1 bulb. What I want to do is demo and test this guy. This is an LED bulb. Now you can't just use any LED bulb, honestly. As you can see, it's got light heads on the top. It's got them almost 360, for the most part 360 around. And I think that is the reason why, honestly, this works as well as it does. And what I want to do is we're going to demo this. I'm going to start with 2 halogen bulbs and we're going to run it. Then I'm going to swap one of the H1 halogen bulbs and I'm going to swap one with an LED bulb. And I'm going to run that. And then we're going to come back to it and we're going to look to see if I run both of them and we can compare them. And this is just a real basic example of just an experimentation. One of the things I'm going to say is that this is not a particularly clean example bar. I mean, as you can see, it's not terrible, but it's kind of beat up and it's kind of used. I'm doing that on purpose. But this will give a good idea of people that want to experiment with bulbs, the results that you're going to expect. So without further ado, let's get this going. So first up, halogen bulbs. There's 2 of them in there. Try to get a better shot of this. 2 H1s. That's what it's looking like. I know people were saying, can you get me in front of them? Can you do whatever? Honestly, that's about as good as I'm going to get at this stage. So there's the halogen bulbs. Let's swap one of these guys out, bring in an LED bulb, and see what it looks like. Next up, one of these rotators, this one over here, has been upgraded with that said LED bulb. This rotator, the one on the right, is still your standard H1 bulb. Now, there's a couple comments I want to make. First, I'm going to run this, and I want to say I had a couple observations dealing with LED bulbs that most people don't understand, and what you're trying to achieve and what color effect. As most people know, you're familiar with color temperature, a more natural white color versus more of the yellow color. H1 bulbs, for example, are mostly that very, very white color, not so much a blue, but a very white color. So you want to be careful where if you do go for H1 bulbs, you try to find a color like this one, which is a very neutral, just very, very bright xenon white. So let's go ahead and fire this off and take a look at it. And now, with one in, obviously the halogen one and the LED one, you get an idea of what I was talking about in regards to color temperature. Now the one on the left is supposed to be a closer to white, xenon white, but you can see what I mean by the halogen bulb being so much more white. So let's go ahead and get this down. And you can see the difference between the halogen bulb and the LED bulb. The LED bulb actually does a pretty good job. I still think in this instance the halogen bulb edges it a little bit, but it is doing pretty good. It's acceptable. I don't know if I would rule this one out. I'm wondering if I could probably aim one of those bulbs a little bit, or at least aim one of the rotators or one of the LED crease segments out a little bit, and that would give me a better flash pattern. But I mean, I'm not knocking that. It does fill up the bulb just like the H1 does. That top light does a lot because it is sending light north as well as to the sides. It's really a matter of opinion. Let's go ahead and convert it completely, and we'll get a picture of that. And now finally, Let's run this with both LED bulbs. And you get an idea what's going on. There we go. Again, you can see what I mean by it is a white, but it's more of a blue, if you want to call it a higher in the temperature range color. You can get these in multiples. I think that actually, honestly, it's a mixed bag. I think the camera does not do this justice. Pardon the shaky cam. I think that these work fine as a replacement. I think they're bright enough, and I think they do the job. At least this specific type does the job. Obviously, comparing it to an H1 bulb, I think the H1 bulb still has a little bit of an edge in regards to just overall brightness. Color is subjective, but I think these work. All in all, I think this would be a passable solution, much more passable solution than, say, what do you want to call it, some of the other bulbs that are out there. But the key with this is finding a H1 bulb which will try to throw light in 360 degrees, which these do. As you can see, it throws it from the top, and we're right above it right here. When the rotator's not in the way, you can see it's, and also on the four corners, or four cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. And that's it in a nutshell. I mean, this is my experiment. I honestly think that this does a pretty good job. I know I'm going over 6 minutes here, so I'm going to wrap this up. Tell me what you guys think.